Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and today I'm taking a look at Megabyte Punch. Now, I know what you're thinking, this is not a new game. I'm well aware of that. It's not new by any stretch of the imagination, but I just received a code for it and I thought I might as well cover this anyway. Because it is a game that interested me quite some time back and I just completely forgot to cover it. So now I've got a chance to, I might as well do it. So, let's have a look at the options menu. These are the controls. I am using a 360 gamepad, or 360 controller for this. It has arrow keys and WASD keys as well available, so you can use those. But yeah, it works very well with a controller. Graphics options, there's not much to speak of. And you'll see why in a moment. It's not actually that big a deal to not have that much of graphics options, so we're just going to get into it. The two modes, Adventure and Fight. Now, this game, I should probably explain, is a platform brawler. In the same vein of games like Super Smash Bros. In fact, it seems to be very much inspired by Super Smash Bros. And I'll explain more about that as we go. So Fight is basically your different oh god, I didn't want to open that. Alright, so Tournament mode is your sort of PvE, sort of a survival kind of horde mode kind of thing. So you have different survival waves and that. Versus mode is actually up to 4 players, competitive against each other. So that's a PvP mode. And the adventure mode is what I'm actually going to show you more of, because this is actually the bigger part of it. Of course, mouse-driven menus, but you can use the controller for that too. Right, so this is my character. I am a robot, yes, called a Megak. Or, I think that's what it's, how you say it. It's Megak? Magak? Mukluk? I don't know. Mukluk is a type of shoe, actually. Yes. So, platforming and stuff. This is the actual hub area. There's a little village in that. So there's a shop where I was at earlier, where you can go and buy stuff. Using a currency called bits. There's no microtransactions or anything, don't worry about that. But yes, so this is my character. And I'm going to show you a bit of the combat as well, because like I said, this is very, very similar to Super Smash Bros. In fact, the controls are very, very similar as well. I'll just go into the first level and I'll show you what I mean. Right. So those of you familiar with Super Smash Bros. Will find this sort of levels very, very familiar, in fact. If you remember those bonus stages, or those even practice stages, this is very much like that. There's a bunch of enemies around. Of course, it's not target attack. And already you can see the similarities there. When enemies are heavily damaged, they will go flying off the distance. In fact, you will as well. Your knockback distance increases with your damage. Very much the same. So we have a few attacks. We have X is your punch attack, which is a sort of combo. And I'll show you that later in a sec. So X is your punching combo. A is a jumping thing, and you have a double jump. Or if you equip your character specifically for this, you can actually do a triple jump or more if you really want to. And there's this rocket ability that I have here, which I can actually do, and then I can actually jump over him. So very useful stuff. Just ping him off. It's like a little robotic chicken. Right, so all the characters are actually customizable. So what we can actually do, if I hit Y over here, I can attach different parts. Currently, I'm not carrying any parts, so I can't show you that. So once we find some parts, I will show you this exactly. Now, if you look in the bottom left corner of the screen, that is all of the HUD. That is everything that you will see. Now, when you have more players available, you'll see that all line up at the bottom of the screen here too. So what you're actually seeing there are my specials. And as I move the analog stick around, you'll actually see the cursor move to highlight different things. Now, these are your special attacks. So aside from having all of these normal attacks, you have special abilities. So if I was to hit the up on the analog stick and hit B, it does my rocket attack. Which is not only just an upwards attack, it's also very useful for accessing places you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach, as you might imagine. Now, I have this shield on my arm here, which if I hit forward and B, creates a block. Now these stay here and they'll absorb damage and that, so I can actually use that as a defensive sort of thing. Let's say if I go down and B, it does a spinning kick, which does quite a significant amount of damage, but it does have a lead-up time, in which time you can actually be attacked. Now, all the parts as well that you can change are your hips, legs, arms, head, and torso, and those things all affect you one way or another. So let's talk a bit about movement. Movement-wise, you run at a dashing sort of speed, and a quick flick on the controller will do a sort of quick dash to one side, which is quite useful. So we can do that. Let's punch him away. Now, they actually normally take a couple of hits to destroy, but it's just I am using a special type of head and arms, which does actually make me do a lot more damage. There. So these bits that we're picking up are all sort of the currency, and if we find parts that we already own, we can actually sort of disenchant them or break them down into bits, which you can use in the store to go and buy other parts. So yes, it is a sort of scavenger hunt type of game as well in adventure mode. But ultimately, this sort of character that you build is going to be the one that you can use in versus mode as well against other players. So definitely very useful to unlock all of those parts. I don't know what just happened there, but that sounded like a sound bug. But yes, so there is a destructible environment, and enemies that go through the environment will actually damage it and create holes in that. At the same time, there's also explosives and traps and stuff around that will also do that as well. Why did I do that? I just trapped myself in here. Yes, he has a ranged attack as well, which I want to stay out of the way of. Oh. Sort of kicked him off into the air there. Alright, so now we've killed him, and what you see down here is an arm on the ground, yes. And we can attach this part if we want to, and it'll do even more damage than it normally does. So if I want to, I can actually get rid of the shield, and I can do even more damage. I pick up more parts of the ground, and so on and so forth. So you can see how this sort of adventure mode kind of works. That was an instant kill there, that was. Yeah, I just find the combat itself is very satisfying as well, because there's so many different sort of combinations that you can create with all these different parts and stuff. And the customization is very, very nice and detailed, because you have not just all these different parts, so there's endless sort of possibilities. But there's also different cosmetic options, like colours and that you can actually change to. And the colours themselves, although quite misleading that they're actually called colours, because what they actually are... Oh, that's nice. But what they actually do as well, sometimes they can do things such as make your character go slightly invisible or transparent, or have other effects such as that. So, they're all very, very nice indeed. Yes. So right now we have a couple of new parts. We have the Megabyte leg, and we have the Mega Fist arm. Now, one thing I want to take note to mention as well is that when we go into the break into bits part, it actually does something very useful. It actually tells you whether that part is in your collection or not. So when you go back to your house in the game, it actually allows you to download the blueprint of that part again and reattach it at any time. So if a part's already in your collection, you can actually just break it up right now and you can get it back again later. Of course, yes, there is a cost involved, so it's not exploitable, but it's just good that if you find the part, you are able to use it later on. So these parts actually have different abilities as well, and I want to just show you what these actually do. So this gives me an uppercut, which is another sort of damage ability, and there is this one, which gives me a slicing forward attack, which is quite nice as well. So it's a bit of a charge attack. I've got two of these, so I can even just put these on both sides if I really want to. Yes. Let's do that. So it's sort of a blink kind of slice attack. Let's see how that works. Oh, very nice. Oh, God. Just spam that attack, why don't we? What else do we have? Okay, let's try this one out. Let's put that on one arm. Oh, we can. Okay, so we can actually just... yeah. So we can have 4 abilities, but it's nice that we can sort of map it to how we would want to use them anyway. One thing is that... oh god. There we go. Oh, picked up another part. So this is how it really goes with the adventure mode. You know, clear the levels, find all the parts, and that's really it. The main objective is just to find parts with which to customize your robot with. That's pretty much it. Now, as a single player anyway, that's how it goes. But of course, what was the most fun part of Super Smash Bros. And part of what made it so successful, and even, for that matter, a competitive game, in my opinion, a lot of it had to do with... the online multiplayer. Now, the last time that Super Smash Bros. Had only local multiplayer, that was on the Nintendo 64. And that was possibly for a very good reason. So, now, if I was to say that this game does not have online multiplayer, then it would be reasonable to assume that that could possibly be why it didn't do as well as you might expect. It's not a bad game. Honestly, it's not. So, it's just that the online multiplayer for this sort of game would have been such a wonderful addition to it, that unfortunately, because they failed to include it, it just kind of held it back significantly enough to sort of hinder the success. Now, I know it's going to be I suppose, a complaint that developers will hate hearing, that there's no online multiplayer and this and that. But it is still very much a valid complaint, and I feel that that was probably the only thing that held it back. Sure, there's a bunch of other things, like maybe the art style doesn't appeal to you, but that's sort of still a very minor complaint compared to a missing feature that could have led to it being more successful than it was. But of course, this all is in hindsight. We'd never really know whether that would have helped or not. But of course, with things coming up such as Steam machines and all that, we could very well see this game have a second chance at success. That is very much a possibility. What is that? Okay, I'm going to get rid of some things. I can get rid of that. I can definitely get rid of that. That looks like a new part anyway. It is! Increases damage of all standard attacks by 1. Let's try that. Why not? It just looks slightly different. Oh, it is nice. So yes, some of the parts do the same thing, but it's sort of that idea that if you want to customize the look of your robot, then at least you have more options available to you. I definitely didn't like this in a lot of other games as well, where it gave you certain stats only for specific types of parts, and it's just sort of, well, then you know, if you want a particular type of build, all your robots end up looking the same, or all your characters end up looking the same, which I never really liked. I want to always be able to build a character the way I want to. And I feel that this game definitely lets you do that, to a certain degree anyway. But yes, so is it any good? Well, this one is very sort of tricky to answer. I mean, at the outset, it is a very good game. I definitely am enjoying it quite a lot. The thing is, it's just that lack of online multiplayer could very well be your reason to not buy it. It's very hard to say. I definitely enjoyed. Oh god, that is a gigantic part. I don't know what that was. Oh, it's a wing. Oh, I'm definitely going to try that now. It's an additional thing. Yeah. But we do lose the uppercut for doing that. Okay. I see. It's very sort of anime mecha style. In fact, the whole game is sort of like that, and the blocky style is a very charming sort of art style anyway. But yeah, so I'd say that, look, as a single player game, it's fun, and if you like what you see with this sort of adventure mode anyway, and even the tournament mode that you can do outside of this, if you like that sort of thing, adventuring and a little bit of brawling in between, yeah, it is a very good game, and I would definitely say, hey, I enjoy it. That maybe you might too. But the thing is, if you're looking for something that, you know, if you want a fun, competitive sort of brawler as well, that you could play with friends, well, I definitely can't say that this has that, because just the lack of online multiplayer means that, yeah, you're going to be lacking that sort of ability. You're just going to lack the ability to play with friends unless you're all on the same machine. So even with local multiplayer, it is local machine and not local network. So you couldn't even use things like Hamachi or something to play. You're just not going to be able to do that. So, yeah. Is it any good? Single player, definitely, I like it. I'm liking it quite a lot. But this is not the Super Smash Bros. Competitor that you are looking for. But definitely, it might be good if you're living with roommates or living with family that might be able to play local multiplayer quite often. Definitely, yeah, this could be something that you could definitely consider. If you're looking for that sort of game, this is definitely one to consider. It's just that you're not going to have that online multiplayer option, which is very unfortunate, but it's just sad that it doesn't have that. And other things, like the combos are very fluid. The specials work very, very well. I think that, just the way that you can kind of customize your special attacks and this and that, as much as you can customize the look of your character as well. And on top of that, there's even stats. Like, look at this. Alright? These are the parts that I have, and you can even see the sort of, like, what that does, and your overall stats at the bottom in actual numbers. Like, you can see the actual numbers as it happens, so it doesn't kind of, skirt around the important stuff. If I change something, I can see exactly what's going to happen, with that. So it definitely covers all the bases really nicely for something with this level of customization for a character. Character building definitely is very, very strong in this. The thing is, it's going to really only be a single player experience if you are just one person at your computer, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, the controls are very responsive as well. I've tried this with both the keyboard and I've tried this with the with the 360 controller that I'm using right now, and it's very, very fluid. It definitely works very, very well. No complaints about the controls whatsoever. And the control setup, in fact, at default, all of it's rebindable. You do have fully rebindable controls. It's just that they are, I suppose, on the 360 controller is very, very similar to what Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64 was. It's very, very much the similar control setup. In fact, you even have that shield option on the right trigger that the Nintendo 64 version had mapped to the exact same button. You also have this pelvic thrust thing. I'm not sure that's a feature, but it does actually break shields if you get up close to them. So as a PvP thing, yeah, quite useful. Not sure if that's supposed to mean something though. No idea. But it does a significant amount of knockback, so you never know. Could be a useful move in the end. But yes, so as a brawling game and as a platforming game, it is solid. It follows the footsteps of Super Smash Bros. That was clearly an inspiration in some way to this game. It follows the footsteps of it very, very well, and, you could call it a clone or whatever, but no, it brings enough to the original formula of its own that I'd say you can't even call this a copy by any stretch of the imagination. It is, it's a good game in its own right, and definitely one worth checking out if you're looking for this sort of game. But again, just remember that this only has local multiplayer, and it does not have online mode, so you are going to be hindered if you're looking for that. And there you have it. This is Megabyte Punch. It's available on Steam for $14.99 or your whatever your regional currency is. Definitely not one to ignore if you are looking for this sort of thing. I'm definitely enjoying it quite a lot, and yeah, I think I'm gonna keep playing. I'm definitely gonna keep playing this. Might even stream it at some point, we'll see. Yes, so thank you very, very much for watching. My name is Panzer, and I will see you next time.
Ultimate.